Have we found the missing piece to the Rocket Lab puzzle? I'm going to let you in on the secret here. It's Helium-3. And I've got my two guys with me, Christopher Bell and Francisco Ramirez, to discuss everything about Helium-3 and why we believe this is the missing piece to the puzzle. You're not going to want to miss this one. But before we get into it, smash that like button, because for every one like, it shares us out to 10 more people. The more viewers we get, the bigger the community grows. Bigger the community grows, the more educated investors there are in Rocket Lab. But without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. The guys have been discussing something between themselves. Tying in, it was the missing puzzle piece to everything we spoke about, from space storage to quantum computing in space to space-based solar. They believe they found the missing piece. Since I came back here a few hours ago, and I've been diving in to everything they can. So I will be trying to pick their brains on it and see what they can come up with. So guys, which one of you wants to take this away? Because whoever it is going to be famous.
or
excited
or destroyed in the comments. We're gonna be destroyed in the comments, or famous. I don't know. I want to say this before we get into it, just really quick. I want to say this. This is not something that we just looked up last night and said, "Hey, let's run with this." Not just Francisco and Johnny, as you guys know, we do a lot of research together. But Liam and I have been doing a few live streams, and we've touched on some of these things, and we were missing a few pieces, and a lot of it was the why. Why would they spend the money? Why would they do all this? And what are the advantages to it? And we were missing a huge piece. And I'm not going to steal any limelight from Francisco here, because as we all know, he is the quant. He does the research. But again, shout out to Johnny Mac. He sent us a brilliant paragraph or 5 last night, just again thinking outside the box, and he brought up the fact that there's an element called helium-3 that is needed here on Earth. It's very expensive here on Earth, but there's an abundance of it on the moon. And something I didn't know until I watched the video last night with the guys with the Sean Ryan show. China is already on the moon. They're on the dark side of the moon, and they are already mining this stuff. That's not speculation. That's not Chris's crazy conspiracy stuff. Them's the facts, bro. That is what's happening. That's why one of the reasons why the U.S. is spending a lot of money. We're not going up there just for space. We're not going up there just to put astronauts around the ISS. It's a lot bigger. And with anything, when it comes to capitalism, it's about the money. And there's a freaking crap ton of it up there. Blew my mind. Those simple words, helium-3, connected all kinds of dots. When it comes to quantum computing, when it comes to energy storage in space, usage, heavy industry, mining in space. And I did say mining, and I'm not talking 20 years from now. I'm talking years, few years. I mean, it's on the horizon. I'll leave it at that for the moment. I'll let Francisco take over, because he's got, as always, he has all the info. He's got all the links. If you guys aren't following Francisco and you're investing in his space stocks, you're missing out. The guy definitely knows his stuff. Loves some Francisco. Johnny Mac, the same. As always, thanks, guys. But yeah, we're gonna dive into that tonight. We're gonna put together some puzzle pieces, and we're gonna start looking forward to what the next steps are that Rocket Lab is looking into, above and beyond just Neutron. As always, the markets are looking and focusing on Neutron, right? Neutron's going to launch. Well, then launches this year and next year, but we're so far beyond Neutron right now. It's not even funny.
I'm laughing at one of the comments that this guy said, and cheese. AJ, yeah, we know the moon is full of cheese. Come on.
It's all cheese, man.
Now, so I wanted you to share like that the post. That post came from Johnny Johnny Mac, he sent it to me, and he's like, "Hey, if you want, can you post this for me?" And I'm like, "Sure," because I guess he doesn't have a pay account. So when you don't have a pay account on X, you limit it to, I guess, how many words you can use. I'm like, "Hey,
I
Johnny, not a
know
problem."
about
So
that.
I did it. So that was the interesting stuff that he sent to both Chris and I, and we were like looking at this, reading this stuff, and when I was reading about this, and I'm like the moon, helium-3, I'm like, wait a second, I heard something about us. Somewhere I heard something about this somewhere, and I was thinking about it. I'm like, wait, I watched the Sean Ryan show, and like they had a general in there, and he was talking about this stuff. And I'm like, let's dive into this video because I didn't watch it. I put it like on the notes to watch later, and I never got back to it. And then I sent it to Johnny and Chris, and we all started watching, and we're like, oh my god, this thing is like that general was dropping bombs about like energy and like solar, like beaming energy down to Earth, and like how they can use it in space too, data centers. Like this dude was like spitting so much stuff that we've been talking about for months. Like what kind of like guess space what is this space as a service like Rocket Lab provide, because we don't know what they're going to do with the constellation. And right now, like we all trying to figure out what are they going to do it. That's what we're trying to figure out, all this stuff. Like, oh, it could be solar energy, it could be like partnership with INQ and do data centers. So we're trying to figure out what is the next big thing so we can be ahead of everybody. And like oh man, he took us for a spin. And like Chris and I were like going crazy. And last night, if you haven't had a chance, like you can go to my channel. I share like a small clip of like the general right at the beginning, how he gave Rocket Lab so much credit. And oh, we dropped like Leon, he disappeared. Huh?
No, I'm
So
all here. My camera's
oh,
down
okay.
for some reason.
Oh yeah, what happened? So yeah, so now this general was like, oh yeah, the next thing, the next great idea can come from like even a small company. It doesn't really have to be what did I do? It doesn't have to be by doesn't have to be by a big country. It can come from a small country like New Zealand and Rocket Lab. And I'm like, oh my God, this general just dropped New Zealand and Rocket Lab as the country that can take over the world. I'm like, that's just wild to me. And then he went over and like Sean Ryan is like, what's Rocket Lab? And he's like, oh, Rocket Lab is like this small company out of New Zealand that does the same thing that SpaceX and Elon Musk is doing. They're sending rockets up in space and reusing them. Like, oh man, he gave so much credit to Rocket Lab. And what I was trying to tell people is like, this general came from the Air Force. He was a commander out in San Antonio, which is the Air Force military training. That's where you go to basic training. And I think he was part of the Air Force research lab. He was part of the group that was doing contracts and like trying to figure out how we can use space for transportation. Which, guess what? The transportation gave a contract to Rocket Lab before they started working on Neutron. So they probably gave them some funding to work on Neutron. And the Air Force, as everybody knows, the Space Force now, like they gave money to Rocket Lab so they can use for Neutron second stage. So, I mean, this general knows what he's talking about. And like for him dropping bombs like that, I'm like, oh man, he knows what he's talking about. He knows Rocket Lab. That actually made me feel good. I'm like, DOD knows about Rocket Lab, because sometimes we think that a lot of people just don't know about it. And I think the name is getting out there now more and more. And it's good that he knows, because he definitely has some good connections, and he's definitely like works on some very interesting programs.
He mentioned, we talked about the possibility of using solar and storing energy in, let's say, one of the photon buses and directly beaming it back down to Earth or to the moon. And he mentioned Rocket Lab specifically. He also has his own company, and they're doing something very similar. Again, this is not something that's far outside the box, crazy thinking that I normally do. This is actually happening. You don't gotta believe me. Don't believe me. Do your own research, but it's freaking happening. That's what they're doing. And again, it blew our mind because we were speculating, kind of guessing on what the possibilities were outside of just the constellations. But the there's going to be mining. There's going to be China's already up there. China's already doing it. That was news to me. I think it's news to everyone.
But they're starting, like, yeah, they have a few. China's been sending probes to the dark side of the moon, and they're ahead of us in a way where they're like sending some stuff back. For what he was saying, that's what it sounds like. They're sending small samples back. So we are kind of like on that. So we need to get somebody like that. But the word that I like that the general used is the same words that Peter Beck used. They're like, the next big idea hasn't been thought of yet. So what's the big idea of space? And I'm like, oh man, Peter Beck. I think, in my opinion, I give him a lot of credit. I think the guy's a genius, and like the general kind of like thinks the same thing, I guess. And that's what we're trying to figure out, the next big idea. So we are ahead of the game. And like, I don't know, if we figure that out before everybody else, man, I will sell everything in my house and put it on Rocket Lab.
He spoke about the advantages of building in space. Setting up and building bigger satellites in space, because if we can build pharmaceuticals in space, we can build anything in space. Pharmaceuticals is one of the most delicate things in the world to construct. A lot easier than building a computer. A lot less technical. I'm no expert, but somebody can fact check me on that. He was talking about quantum computing in space. Again, energy storage in space. Mining the Helium-3. If you guys have not already Googled and looked into Helium-3, jump off here, go look at it. It's going to blow your mind. That was the missing piece. That's what Johnny Mac brought up. Thanks again, Johnny, for that, because it got me thinking, got Francisco thinking, and that is the missing piece. That's the why. Again, you got to have funding, you got to have money. He talked about the efficiency, the greater efficiency of having energy stored in space and sent directly back down to Earth. Maybe not via laser. We have an answer for that. We'll get into that in a few minutes. Francisco's got a great answer for that as well. But it does tie into data centers. Directly ties into data centers. They're building a crap ton of data centers right here in Virginia. Why? Again, I'm always going to say, ask the question why before you get too excited and start buying something. Why are they doing it in the first place? Is there something backing it? When you look into the Helium-3 in comparison to how we use energy here on Earth, and how we're going to use energy in space and transfer it down, it will be more cost effective. It will use less heat. It will generate a lot more energy for a lot less energy use in comparison. And it's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, when I saw it, I was like, wow, we should have been doing this a long time ago. It could be the answer to our future energy needs and issues when it comes to, everybody thinks the world's overpopulated, which it's not, but there's a huge demand for energy, especially when it comes to quantum computing. We can do it more efficient. We can do it cheaper if we do it in space. Same with heavy energy.
He mentioned how President Xi is really going after it, because he said that right now we in a kind of like a tech war, like between China and the United States, and how Xi wants to win that, because whoever wins this war is going to be the leader of the world, and kind of makes sense. So the Helium-3 China is trying to get, according to him, it's like you can use this to use it for quantum computer and cooling them off better, and like so yeah, whoever gets there first and gets to quantum computer first is going to be the leader of the world for the next 50 to 150 years. So it is a race
for the whole entire future. Sorry, Liam, go ahead, buddy.
No, you're fine. So I want to circle back a little bit for any of the guys that don't know what Helium-3 is. So Helium-3 is one of the main fuel sources the sun basically uses for it's nuclear fusion, isn't it? So Helium-3 has 2 protons, 1 neutron, and then 1 other neutron will be coming to the moon to pick it up. Whereas Helium-4 has 2 protons, 2 neutrons. Now, the nice thing about Helium-3, it is extremely rare on Earth, and the reason why it is a lot more abundant on the moon is it travels through solar wind. It's coming directly from the sun, travels through the solar wind, and the moon has no atmosphere, so it settles down there on the soil. Now, I've been doing a bit of diving into this, and around 20 parts per billion in the moon's soil. So it's still ultra dilute. Now, then I was looking at the valuations of how much would the likes of helium-3 be worth down here on Earth. And it's in the ballpark range of anything between 10 to 15 billion per ton. And then I was looking at, right, if Neutron had to go up there and pick it up and bring it back down, how much of a payload can Neutron have? Now, to translunar orbit, it can have a 2-ton payload. Now, how hard is it to farm or mine a ton of helium-3? That is the next.
That's a great question.
That
I
is
feel like
the project is insane.
And
Maybe,
Liam, give them the. All right, so this is going to blow your minds, guys. All right, so from what you were just saying, Liam, 2 tons brought back to Earth. You know, as far as energy storage, what is the profit margin, or what does the numbers look like when it comes to that type of value based on what current value is? And of course, it's going to change over time, but just give us some raw numbers. I know you gave them to me, but let's give it to them live now and freak them out.
Yeah, so the actual payload alone, if it's 2 tons, you're thinking around 20 to 30 billion of a payload coming back. Now, profit margins, it'd be very hard to work out just because I don't think this can be a one company thing. I don't think Rocket Lab has the capacity to go down there, build all the infrastructure, mine it themselves, and then bring it back. That'd be a multi-billion-dollar project in itself. But that's where the likes of your red wires come in. You need your funding from your U.S. government.
oh no, yeah. I think I
DARPA.
sent you a link. And NASA actually
DARPA.
put something
Yep.
about
NASA.
about that they're seeking. See if you can pull it up. Oh, actually, can pull it up. Never mind.
I'm having
Forgot I
trouble
got
with
access to
my
this.
camera again at the moment, guys.
Let
But
me
he
pull it
did
up.
say
Real quick.
billion. He did say billion with a B, guys. He didn't say million. He said billion with a B. That's per payload. Holy crap!
But
That's a
NASA,
lot of cheddar. That's a lot of cheddar on
NASA.
that moon, buddy. It's a lot of cheddar.
But look at this. NASA just posted this today, I guess, August 18. Yeah, this came out today. The NASA is asking for input on a system capable of producing at least 100 kilowatts of electricity weighing less than 15 metric tons and using a closed Brayton cycle power conversion system. So NASA is definitely interested in going to the moon and using it for this stuff. So I'm sure they're looking at it. So we can get some money from the government, and I mean they could pay anybody. Hopefully they pay Rocket Lab and some other companies that we like.
Well, look at it like this: they're going to need energy before they can mine. They're going to need energy, um, you know, on the moon to power all kinds of things. Everything is got. We're not going up there and building electric stations up there, people. That's not going to happen. And electric stations are limited. It's linear. It's not, where you have like the ability now with ASTS coming out. They put up a handful of satellites, and you can get 5G. And the bottom of the Grand Canyon. The guy said it last night, on or not last night, but on the Sean Ryan show when they posted that. I'm stealing his words. Give him all the credit in the world. It's not my idea. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's a freaking fact. You're not going to need all these energy stations, which are big and ugly and bulky, and or they produce a lot of waste, and they take a lot just to give us a little bit back. We can produce it a lot better, a lot more efficiently, and long term, a lot less expensive. So not only are we going to need that, we want that energy here for the Earth, but we're going to need that when we're mining on the moon, when we colonize Mars, and we go further into space. So that's where I believe the solar energy storage is going to come into play, and that's going to help feed what we're going to do more in the future when it comes to mining the helium-3 and getting it back down to Earth, where we can basically take all of our heavy industry production and put it out in space where we don't see these big bulky power stations, and we don't have all this ugly infrastructure. It can all be done in space where we don't, the naked eye can't see it. We don't care. It's up there somewhere in the heavens, floating around.
Right.
But again, this is not a crazy conspiracy theory. This is not crazy, Chris. This is stuff that's actually freaking happening. Like Francisco said, NASA's already getting into it. China's already getting into it. A lot of other people are already getting into it. There's a reason why we're trying to get, we're trying so hard to get back to the moon. We've been looking for the whole why. Why are we going to the moon anyway when there's so much other out there? We've already been to the moon. It's just supposed to be just a big rock, right? Well, no, there's a lot of money up there. A whole lot of money. And you're right. It's probably not going to be all Rocket Lab. It's going to take, just like the Golden Dome, it's going to take a collaboration of multiple different companies assisting and helping out or taking little bits and pieces of it. But Rocket Lab is setting themselves up brilliantly, thanks to the brilliant mind of Peter Beck. Acquisitions like Mineric, like Solera, the build out of the amazing Photon, and their amazing buses, which we already know they do have a bus that can store energy. Not a lot, but it can be modified to be basically a Tesla Powerwall in space, if you will. If that makes more sense to you guys out there. You hit it right on the head, man. You hit it right on the head, Francisco. This is just the beginning, and all these pieces are starting to come into play of, why are they, what's the big need for these acquisitions? Where's the money going to come from? Why are they putting the money into it? What are they going to get back out of it? It's all about money in the end, but luckily it involves space, and we're all space nerds and geeks, and it's just going to help propel a company like Rocket Lab to do a lot more above and beyond that. And Liam gave you a few basic numbers, and yeah, we're going to be off on the numbers, but if we're just a fraction of that number is correct, that's a lot of revenue. That's a crap ton of revenue coming from a very small, just a portion of the space sector.
Through that NASA lunar Mars fission power plant system there, that is quite an exciting read, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly. This news just came out today. Yeah, what you just said. I just share it with everybody, and I send it to you guys. But if you scroll down, I'm gonna scroll down for you guys. Look at the bottom, and what are they looking for? So they're looking pretty much for bids, I guess, from companies to give them, like, I guess, to tell them if they can do this. But look at this: how can industry participate in this NASA effort? Companies are invited to respond to a request for information to provide feedback on end-to-end services capabilities, which may include development, testing, transportation, launch, landing, deployment, and sustained operations of the system. Respondents can also indicate interest in performing specific portions of the project. So I'm about to email Rocket Lab. I'm sure they know. I'm like, bro, you guys on this, because you guys better be bidding for this stuff. That looks like a lot of money. That looks and sounds like a lot of money to me. What do you guys think?
That's a lot of, man. That's a lot of money. That's Liam, you have been missing out, bro. Look what you did. You took some time off, and you forced me and Francisco to do what we do, and hopefully we've impressed you just a little bit with our research, my friend. And it goes back to a lot of the recent lives we've done. We've been right. We've been off a little bit because we didn't have some of these missing puzzle pieces that, again, Yanni provided for us. But again, if we're just a fraction, just a small percentage of this, if we're right, that's a lot of money.
But what we're not thinking about now as well is, so now when people dive into the likes of this, they're forgetting about how big the project of the Golden Dome is. So we have the likes of the Golden Dome happening. We have the likes of these Helium-3 project, we believe, going to be happening. We've spoken about having the likes of telecommunications orbiters all across the solar system. We're talking about space exploration being pushed out to the extreme. Like with these, the propulsion ability, if you can harvest the likes of Helium-3, will be generational. The whole project, like, it just makes me want to sell the house and just bank it on Rocket Lab and just hope the best, you know.
Just don't put it on red wire.
Not financial advice. Not a financial advice.
It's getting close to being financial advice. Not gonna lie.
It really is, though. It really is, though. I mean, look, we nailed it with haste. Again, we did over a year of research, guys. This is not something we just dreamed up last night, and it's not all of our info. We're taking pieces from all of you guys in the comments, from people on X, the Sean Ryan show, and again the research we do ourselves, and we do it for months and months and months. How long have we been looking into the likes of a collaboration with an IonQ and a Rocket Lab, and the advantages of quantum computing in space? Months, and we take a lot of slack from some of you guys.
Chris, I'll tell you what, that and Liam, Rocket Lab is definitely gonna try to do this one. I mean, we had that video that Rocket Lab in the last launch. They shared that the Asian lady, she was like, "We're going to the moon and we're going to Mars." So they're all over this one. They're gonna go ahead and submit like whatever part they can do on this effort. And I think that sounds like a kind of like a Golden Dome, like kind of like deal. What do you guys think? That I don't think that's gonna be cheap. I mean,
that's what Liam just said.
It is crazy.
That's what Liam just said. It ties right into the Golden Dome. This is freaking brilliant. Are you guys in the comments? Are you guys picking this stuff up? Are you picking up what we're putting down? I mean, you guys think we're crazy? I don't think we're crazy. I think we've unlocked some amazing info that we've all been looking over. It's been right in our face. It has. It's been right in our face. We actually felt kind of bad last night. We're like, how did we not see this months ago? We've been doing the research, but again, it's always that one little bit, small piece of information, and that's why it takes a community. It's not just me or Liam or Francisco, Yanni Mac. It's the Maddies. It's Jacobs. Where's Waldo? Jacob, wherever you're at today, buddy. Hope you're traveling safe. Hope you're great. But it's all guys like that, man. Thank you all. But it takes a team effort. And I think we've already been celebrating a lot because of where Rocket Lab is now. But I think we are still very, very early on this stock. Very early.
We're just early on space. I think some people have already talked about that. Like that we saw early in space. The space is I think space can make millionaires. Like out of a lot of people. It's just gonna be crazy because we're early.
I hope so. I really do, because I want to build my business out. You guys need to buy some more freaking water features so Chris isn't pouring no more. So yeah, that's financial advice right there. I'll give you that financial advice.
I want to jump straight across to the comments again. So this is one guy I really want to speak to again very, very soon. What's up, guys? And Space Ghost says new confidential customer mystery. AJ says he knows something. Space Ghost says seems like it'd be EchoStar, except it's listed for 5 satellites. He's been digging for an hour or two, but not sure yet. All the language seems that it'd be the second EchoStar launch, but said it's for 5 satellites in the press release. That doesn't make sense for EchoStar. It should just be 1, and the purple mission patch and 5 small satellites makes me think it's Lacuna IoT. Tran theorized in EchoStar Lyra plus 4 small CubeSats, but who knows?
Oh, he did. That actually makes sense.
I need to
EchoStar.
I need to reach out to Tran and see what he is thinking. GY Kiwi says, as long as we beat Firefly getting to the H3, the planned satellite.
He's making fun of us with me, Firefly.
Yeah, I love GY Kiwi. That's my boy.
AJ says Firefly already has an MOU with the moon for H3.
I
Not
think he's
financial
joking,
advice.
right? He's joking around.
Yeah.
But who knows, man? Yeah, I mean,
Thanks, AJ.
we have that news from Firefly. The Firefly is trying to get in with Japan and like build another pad out there or whatever, launch out of Japan. I'm like, man, these people, they want to go to Sweden, they want to go to like Japan, they want to go everywhere, but their rockets are not taking off. I'm like, what the heck?
That's
Where's
because they're
Alpha?
watching.
That's what
They're
I'm posting.
watching our
Where's
live stream,
freaking
bro.
Alpha? No,
Bro,
that's
they're
because like they
watching our
just
live
pushing it.
stream and they're going, "How do we get ahead of Rocket Lab?" I know. Follow the Hustle Brothers and come up with crazy conspiracy theories and try and beat them to it. Because
Because I know you like Firefly, but I mean, I gotta give me heat, bro. Like the last launch was a failure. Before that, the
fair,
launch before that was like last year, and I'm like, bro, your cadence is not improving. It hasn't improved in the past 3-4 years. You have multiple failures, like 4 out of 6, and I'm like, bro, you guys are gonna get. I just posted something on it. So like, what's gonna come first? The 7 launch of Alpha or the 7 announcement of a new path for Firefly? They're announcing more pads than like freaking launches. It's fucking nuts.
that's true. That is funny. That is funny. Hey, I just saw Vaccine C. He jumped in. Thanks for jumping in, bro. What is he saying?
So Vaccine Cease is trying to catch up with 1.5 speed. Liam coming back on the scene with a fresh fade. Do you like it, brother? Do you know what? Got rid of the blue hair, but I'm a little bit like a Malteser right now. And fresher perspectives. AJ, they can make a bigger boss for Neutron, and Francisco jumped in and says he agrees.
Yes, they can, bro.
AJ says, sounds good to me. Mars sample return can be H3 sample return mission. Do you know what? It's also really abundant on Mars as well. And the reason is Mars doesn't have a great atmosphere. So
And the general touched up on that. He said that the reason that we don't have
Yeah,
a lot on planet Earth is because of the atmosphere. Like whether
the
the moon
atmosphere.
and Mars, they don't have the atmosphere like that. So yeah, they can have more helium-3, I guess.
but guess
Is
who
atmosphere.
does have a lot of H3 as well? The gas giants. Yeah, so you have the likes of your Saturns and your Jupiters and your Uranuses.
Oh, yeah,
They have moons. And again, you can go to their moons, make your bases, you can collect your H3 and come back. Do you know what?
Yeah.
It's so much bigger than just the moon alone. If they can prove the concept on the moon, it wouldn't surprise me if we have factories all over the solar system.
Beck mentioned Titan months or not years ago. Titan is probably prime with that stuff, man. It's probably just oozing out of Titan. That'd be a perfect location.
But I mean, Spaces is going to get crazy, I think, because we're going to have like now there's multiple people now that are talking about a space solar power beaming into the planet, and like DARPA has tested that already, and it worked. And I mean, we're hearing generals, we're hearing companies now they're coming up with that stuff. There was an interview last year or 2 years ago that somebody asked Peter Beck something about that, and he briefly mentioned solar power that could be something good, but it was I can't remember the interview, but he briefly mentioned it, and I'm like, oh damn it! I've watched so many interviews, I can't go to like hundreds of hours of interviews, but he said that solar could be something, but he keeps saying that the next idea it hasn't been thought of yet, which he might have an idea already, but he keeps his cards on the chest. He's not going to mention it. So I know if Rocket Lab, here's the trick. If Rocket Lab's working on data centers or space solar like power, like an energy company, he's not going to say it because he's not going to put his cards. Look what happened. I think there's another news that came out. I don't know if you guys saw it. Look what happened with Blue Origin. They just posted that stuff like they I guess they want to go to Mars and do the communication stuff too. I'm like, oh wait a second. They put out a video and everything. I'm like, oh, that sounds very familiar. Like, who's doing that? But that got me very upset because like they were mentioning like the Escapade mission and kind of like taking credit for it. Like they don't mention really Rocket Lab in a lot of the articles that came out. and like how Blue Origin is like taking like I guess taking the first step into the communications for Mars. It was just weird to me that they kind of like did the same exact thing that the Rocket Lab has been saying for like a year now. That's what you get when you say what you're gonna do. So I think Peter Beck doesn't want to say what we're doing.
It makes sense. Beck, like you said, he keeps a lot of stuff very close to the chest.
Like, as he has
And
to.
he does. He has to. What did you say last
Yeah.
night? We have to be careful. I think we know too much. Secret Service might start knocking on our door because we're discovering things before they're announced.
Guys, do one thing for me. After this stream, I actually want everyone to comment where in the world they are from, because it actually really interests me on, is it primarily people from the US and New Zealand that are investing in Rocket Lab at the moment? How much of a reach are they actually getting when it comes to investor mindset? But guys, my name is Liam. I am one of the Hustle Brothers here. This has been great exploring the likes of Helium-3. We will be diving into who we believe this confidential customer will be. I'm going to keep Chris up all night again tonight, exploring different theories. But guys, my name's Liam. This has been Francisco and Chris. Had a great time talking to you. Make sure to bang that subscribe button. And until tomorrow, we'll speak then.